this NCAA tournament, the Connecticut Huskies, and they're about to face Tanisha Lewis, four-time All-ACC, going up against Sue Bird and company. The tip from Pittsburgh when we come back.
We're in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, to Mellon Arena for the second semifinal of the day in the East region. North Carolina State against UConn. Take a look at the North Carolina State lineup with Bates, Moody, and Skates up front. Lewis and Gardner are the guards for KL. For Connecticut, Jones, Schumacher, and Cash start on the front line. Bird and Taurasi are the guards for Gino Auriemma. Connecticut loses two of the best 5 players in the nation, and so far in the NCAA tournament, they've won 2 games by an average of 63 points. They're pretty deep, aren't they?
Well, Gino, I think, is the constant here because of the kind of recruiting that he does. He doesn't promise his players a lot of minutes. So the good players that have been sitting the bench, they haven't had a lot of time, but now they've stepped into those roles of those injured players, and they're getting the minutes, and their point productions and their stats are going up.
Gino winning 81.3% of his games in his 16th season at Connecticut. And KL already inducted into the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame in her 7th straight NCAA tournament. And we are set to go after everyone is still digesting the news of the staggering upset. Congratulations to Xavier, eliminating Tennessee in the Sweet 16.
Well, it's interesting, too, because a lot of the experts felt when the seedings came out that Tennessee might have the easiest bracket. Well, maybe that fueled the fire for so many other teams.
Sue Bird with a runner, silky smooth, 2-0 UConn, and here's the full court pressure that Lewis and Gardner will have to beat.
Well, and you talked about how these guards have just picked things up for Connecticut. And Kay Yao, I talked to her before the game, she said, we've got to take care of the basketball. Their pressure is incredible.
Gardner with a miss. Bird, brilliant in the open court. Taurasi, the sensational freshman, 5-0 UConn. They just applied the pressure immediately. Bates across midcourt. Gives it up to Skates, both forwards outside. Their big scorer is Moody in the middle. Look for number 44 trying to get open. Against Schumacher, she walked, no basket.
And Connecticut going into a zone. It's a team that likes to play man-to-man. They'll switch things up. Gino Auriemma, I think, has done a masterful job this year. He's coming off the Olympics with Nell Fortner, where he was an assistant coach with her. They won the gold medal, and not only hanging around Nell Fortner and the women's team, but the men's team, too, and picking up some tidbits.
And North Carolina State is a very poor outside shooting team, so a zone could make things tough on them. Taurasi for 3, no basket. Foul away from the ball, and it's going to be an illegal screen on Asia Jones.
Michelle Ralph and Svetlana Brasimova. They averaged 25 points, 10 rebounds, both shot over 50% from the floor.
And both great leaders. To have that much firepower on the bench and still be 30-2 entering the Sweet 16 is remarkable, and a tribute to the recruiting ability of Connecticut's program. Lewis with the long miss. Sue Bird hustles out for UConn. She loves to push it. And Bird hits another shot. UConn has had 2 shots waved off because of a foul and a violation. Otherwise, they'd be 5 for 5 to start this game.
And yet that kid, Sue Bird, has probably been the MVP ever since she came to this team. She's just got that John Stockton attitude about her. She's such a leader. She got hurt her freshman year, and they couldn't redshirt her because she played too many games.
She's the kind of a player, like several on this team, that in another program could average 20, 25 points a game and have 12 or 13 assists a game, but she gets her time cut down because they're so deep. Moody with a miss. This is Schumacher.
And there's nobody individually on this Husky team that is in the top 10 or 20 in statistical categories nationally. But as a team, 7 out of the top 10 categories.
Schumacher, Connecticut is perfect from the floor. They're throwing a shutout at North Carolina State. They have lost this year only to Tennessee and Notre Dame. They have also beaten Tennessee and Notre Dame.
And Notre Dame was for the Big East championship on a last-second shot where they beat them for the Big East tournament. The loss was in Notre Dame when they lost to Notre Dame.
A travel by Lewis.
And Kelly Schumacher, we saw her in the championship game against Tennessee last year. 9 rebounds, but she missed the first 6 games, 9 blocks. She missed the first 6 games this year because of a stress fracture in her foot.
She's a 6'5" senior out of Quebec, Canada. There just are no weaknesses on this team. And how about that? Schumacher, who had made 1 3-point shot all year, goes outside and drains it.
Well, the biggest thing is for Connecticut is, yes, they are so deep, but the adjustments that they've made is because of the different players coming in, he's had different personnel. Like we said, Schumacher missed the first 6 games, and he went with a very athletic team. Now Schumacher steps out for the 3, who's so used to being inside. The versatility of this team, guarding the big players outside, guarding the small players inside, it's tough.
Talisha Skates will go to the line. The Wolfpack 22-10 this year, 3rd place in the ACC. They come in ranked 21st and 20th, depending on which poll you like to look at. Skates only averaging 6.3 points a game. And they get on the board with 16:33 to go in the first half. Pair of free throws are down 12-2. At times, Connecticut just frightens you with their ability.
Well, it's interesting, too, because you talk that way about Connecticut, and that's what people used to say about Tennessee. And I think Tennessee still has that image that they can just come right at you. But we've mentioned in the past that this year, it seems that no matter what the jersey says, teams come in and aren't intimidated by it. But you've got to play a pretty good game against those top teams.
Well, if you watch the first 4 minutes of this game, you might be a little intimidated by Connecticut. They have gotten off to a brilliant start. Nice jump hook by Moody. Gets her first 2.
Moody, 2nd team All-ACC.
Schumacher, poor pass, and a good defensive play by Gardner. UConn off to a fast start, 12-4 over NC State.
Back inside Mellon Arena, I'm Heather Cox, and you know, these two teams don't meet very often, but when they do, it's safe to say everything's on the line. In fact, remarkably, normally the tournament underdog is the one that gets the upset. And to this day, NC State coach Kay Yow says both her highest and lowest coaching moments have come against the Huskies. The rivalry began in '91, ironically here in Philadelphia, when the Huskies upset what is still considered the best NC State team ever. And the last time these two teams met, it was in the '98 East Regional. UConn had its 2 best players out. They were favored. The Wolfpack came up with the huge upset. They're hoping for that again today.
All right, Heather, thanks very much. 15:48 to go in the first half. Taurasi misses the 3, and it's knocked out of bounds out to North Carolina State.
And Kay Yow talked about that team in '98. They had Summer Erb at 6'6" and just a huge player inside. They don't have that kind of team this year. They don't have the size.
Great offense by Connecticut after the turnover. Swin Cash gets her first bucket on the assist from Sue Bird. Skates brings it in the front court. 14-4 Huskies. Nice driving layup. Lewis, Ivy Gardner went down the baseline to make it 14-6.
NC State doing a good job trying to get the ball inside.
Good defense by Moody that time. Got a piece of it. And Gardner is clobbered as she goes for the layup.
Gardner looked like she had an easy layup. She's really got the wheels on her. Good runner. It's very fast, but Taurasi comes out of nowhere to catch her. She gets her on the arm. But Taurasi is an unbelievable freshman. As a matter of fact, she did not even get Freshman Player of the Year in the Big East. Rebecca Bronson out of Georgetown was Big East Rookie of the Year because of the fact that she got a lot of minutes, like you talked about. Taurasi was not playing early on and sat the bench a lot. Now, since she's had to step into the starting lineup, averaging over 23 minutes.
Well, the problem is when you look at raw numbers like for Taurasi, 10.5 points a game, 3 rebounds, 3.3 assists. Those in themselves are not very impressive numbers until you go to what she did per minute, what she meant to the team. And it's very difficult to win individual awards, and all the kids that come to Connecticut accept that.
And it was interesting talking to Gino Ariema and said she didn't get Big East Rookie of the Year, but you know what? In the Big East tournament, she came out and played and was MVP.
Tamika Williams is in for the first time. She's number 34 for UConn.
I like the way NC State is really pushing the ball up the floor.
Gardner had a good look at it, missed. Rebound, Bates with a live ball. Lewis, the outside jumper. Good hustle by NC State to keep it alive, pushing and shoving and a foul. And it will go against UConn, called on Swin Cash.
Kay Yao told me before the game, she said, we've got to get hustle plays. We've got to hit the boards. And on the offensive boards right here, look at the hustle by both teams. And NC State, here you see Bates with a little forearm at Swin Cash's head.
Bates takes the inbounds pass and threw it baseline, nobody home. So UConn's basketball with 14-15 to go in the first half. The 4th turnover already for North Carolina State.
And the Wolfpack cannot afford to make a lot of mistakes in this game.
Bird in the lane with a runner. Sue Bird already has 6.
She just glides, doesn't she?
She is a wonderful player. She has great vision and tremendous awareness, like she was born to play basketball.
And this is going to be a tough year to pick All-Americans. I think you could pick at least 15 to 20 that have just had stellar years.
Moody with a miss. Ahead, saved by Asia Jones, but North Carolina State's ball. Nearly stolen. The pass in for Moody, too strong.
You talk so much about this Connecticut bench too, Mike, and what it enables them to do, not just the minutes per se. The players are used to being shuffled in and out, but it gives them fresh legs. And if you're playing teams that only go about 7, 8 deep, if they're lucky, the Huskies are going to be a lot fresher towards the end of a game.
You can see the numbers as well as the scoreboard all heavily favoring UConn so far. And there is the 3rd turnover of the ball game against the Huskies.
Well, Asia Jones with the bounce pass to Kelly Schumacher out on the wing, and Schumacher just couldn't get down to get it.
You don't throw bounce passes to the big kids, do you?
Come on.
Huh? Let's defend
You
him a
better learn
little
how to
bit here.
catch that ball.
Skates outside to Lewis. Simpson is into the game for the first time. Shot clock down at 9. Lewis, tough shot. Tanisha Lewis with her first bucket. She averages 13.5 points a game.
That's where she's most effective, is penetrating.
And when they moved her to point guard in January, this team really took off. Shot by Williams won't go. Bodies fly underneath.
Thank you.
In the Mideast, Xavier has advanced, eliminating #1 seed Tennessee. Purdue and Texas Tech will play for the right to face Xavier. And boy, were they tough kind of stretching it.
Well, they really were. In Tennessee, you look at their senior class with Ace Clement, Samika Randall, Tamika Catchings. They only won 1 NCAA tournament the 4 years they were there. And that was their freshman year.
But how high is that standard to say a class only won 1 NCAA tournament? Of course, the expectations are so high at Tennessee, UConn, and now Notre Dame and a couple of other programs like Duke who have made such tremendous advances.
And Purdue.
And Purdue. Asia Jones out of Piscataway, New Jersey, hits a free throw. Let's check in with Heather Cox. Heather.
Well, Mike, the news that rocked the basketball world also rocked these two teams. No one has to tell you that the rivalry is intense between UConn and Tennessee. Gino told them of the score in the locker room to tons of cheers. It's pretty safe to say that right now Xavier is UConn's 6th man. Now for Coach Yao, she waited right in the huddle before tip, told them, gave them a little confidence that a 4 seed beat a #1 seed.
Oh, Heather, that's got to be great motivation to say, hey, guess who won the Xavier-Tennessee game? We're playing UConn. Let's go get them. And then UConn starts on a 9-0 run.
And they came out focused, but also, in essence, saying that, hey, a #1 seed got knocked off. Let's not be in the same position. And Gino Auriemma talked to us yesterday at practice, too, about Georgia getting knocked off.
Bates off the inbound play, got a nice screen and a good look, but couldn't hit the shot. Whistle before the shot. And a foul as Swin Cash started down the left side of the lane.
This NC State team has also had to make some adjustments with losing Tara James and Kayla Jones, both redshirting this year, sophomores that started every game last year at point guard and inside. And Tanisha Lewis finally, after North Carolina State was losing so many games, was moved to the point guard position, really made a difference.
They really haven't had those two injured players the entire season, so Kay Yao has done a great job in plugging other people in, very much the way Gino Auriemma has done with his two injured stars. All 5 starters have already scored for UConn, and 11 players on their roster will play double-digit minutes on average. Taurasi brings it outside. Kenitra Johnson back to Sue Bird. Baseline drive for Williams, all the way underneath, double teamed and lost it out of bounds.
I really like how Moody kept her defensive position.
Williams trying to do too much, perhaps, against the double team underneath. UConn with an 8-point lead early. Abrazimova and Ralph, 2 injured stars. They can't go on the court anymore, but both still have a job for this club.
We were leaders before we got injured. And just because we're down and out, we're not able to be out on the court, doesn't mean that we can't uphold our duties as leaders, as captains of the team. And so we just have different things to do now. You know, we have a different type of leading to do.
Their career numbers in the NCAA tournament, and really, those numbers would be a lot higher if it wasn't the Connecticut program that splits minutes so much. But you could see it even in practice yesterday. They're here, they're still involved, they're encouraging their teammates.
They're positive, they're out there shooting. They're out there, as you said, encouraging. They say positive things, how to run a play, how they should come off a pick, that type of thing, where they got lost on the defensive end.
Mary Simpson off the bench for North Carolina State. She's a streak shooter. She hits a 3 to make it 18-13, and the Wolfpack battles back. Offensive foul on an illegal screen.
You know how some games you just get called for fouls and you're just like, where am I? Gino Auriemma is not happy about it. Chris Daly, his co-coach, is saying, settle down, Gino. But Swin Cash seems to be in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Well, that foul was called on Taurasi. It is her second.
Ah, I thought they called it on Cash.
Moody, nice cross-court pass to Simpson for another 3. When she comes out and hits the first one, they say she can really tear it up. 18-16. Taurasi. What an answer. Taurasi with a half a dozen.
Watching her in practice, and I saw Connecticut when they came out to California and they played Pepperdine. If you watch Taurasi's shots, she gets the ball and the rotation is always going with the seams. She learned that as a little kid from her coaches because you have a truer bounce when the seams go that way.
Lewis got too far under, hit the basket support.
It also shows you what a great feel she has for the ball.
Kenitra Johnson into the lane, that's a block. And Kay Yao wanted a charge on that one. Tip off your Final Four weekend with a Capital One presenting ESPN, the magazine's College Basketball Awards. 15 to be handed out. Men's and Women's Player of the Year, Men's and Women's Player of the Year in each position. Plus a presentation of the Wade Trophy. That's Wednesday at 7 Eastern from Minneapolis. Honored to be able to vote on a few of those. Shot won't go. Foul. Connecticut got off to a great start here against North Carolina State. Now the lead's been cut to 5, 21-16. We're in Pittsburgh to see who will go to the regional final on Monday night. Glad you could join us. Connecticut, the defending champs, and the top seed. That last foul was called on Carice Moody, and Swin Cash misses the free throw. Swin Cash got a pair of double-doubles in the first 2 rounds of the tournament to give her 7 for the season and 13 for her career. Missed another free throw. Taurasi grabs the rebound.
The boards, rebounding, such an important part of this game. And Connecticut averages almost 44 rebounds a game.
Johnson stripped. Nice defense by Gardner. This is Lewis. She faces Bird.
NC State, Mike, they've done some good things defensively. They're making Connecticut work a little harder on the offensive end.
They have certainly been physical so far. .22 is Olwan Raweju in for NC State. The shot clock down to 3. Bird grabs it on the run and flies down court for the shot. She was fast breaking from the time the ball came off the rim at the other end of the court. Caught it in stride and never stopped.
Whew, give me a fan. Man, that was fast.
We're both fans of her. Sue Bird gives UConn a 23-16 first half lead. Connecticut with a 7-point lead. They started with a 12-0 spread over North Carolina State. I can't imagine wanting anything else from a point guard than you get from Sue Bird, Ed.
She's really a dynamite player. And again, even as a freshman, when she came in, Gino Auriemma knew that she had somebody special. Went to Christ the King School in New York. A winning program.
Right to the hands of Gardner out of bounds, and she was the Nancy Lieberman Klein Award winners point guard of the year a year ago, trying to repeat.
A lot of people feel that she's the best guard in the nation this year, too. What makes her so tough is, I mean, she distributes the ball. She sets other players up, and that's what you want in a leader, just letting everybody else look good, making sure that they're in the right positions. But she knows that she's ready to take the last shot, as she did in the Big East tournament against Notre Dame, who went on the last second shot, and she's capable of hitting the outside shot.
She has no fear whatsoever. That one spun out. Lewis with a rebound. North Carolina State has weathered that early storm, and now Gardner is fouled on the way in. And the call is going to go against Kenitra Johnson, the sophomore from New Albany, Indiana, her first. Making her second.
You know, this NC State team can play a lot of good defense. They played Texas Tech earlier in the season, and Tech, who was averaging 84 points at the time, were held to 51 points. And they've done that. North Carolina State has to their opponents quite a bit this season.
Six points now for Gardner. And her club pulls within 5. Bird outside. Asia Jones is back in. Swin Cash with a miss. Jones long rebound. Left alone, so she'll take the shot and miss it. Follow shot won't go from Swin Cash. Schumacher with a follow. And finally, North Carolina State clears.
That's going to wear North Carolina State down, though, if Connecticut continues to hit the offensive boards like that, even though they miss.
Carice Moody with a pretty jump hook. And hello, it's a three-point game.
And Moody, only a sophomore at 6'1", plays big down low.
Good hustle inside, nearly got another steal, and now the three. Taurasi was good all the way.
I think she's a little too close. I mean, her range is unbelievable.
Between she and Bird in backcourt, they're lethal. Bird, look at the speed she has, blowing by people. Back outside to Taurasi for another one. You can just put it in the book when it's in the air. She's hit 4 for 4. And as soon as North Carolina State gets within hailing distance, UConn spurts back out to a 9-point advantage.
Well, her high this year as a freshman is 2 times, once against Tennessee and Boston College, both where she hit 6 3-pointers.
One and done for North Carolina State. Got to pick up Taurasi and Bird about 25 feet away from the hoop. Great roll move by Cash. 4 points for Swin Cash.
And with Taurasi knocking down those outside shots, it really kind of opened up on that possession for Connecticut down low because North Carolina State had to spread their defense.
Moody blocked by Schumacher. Bird. Great pass ahead, tipped, and they say last touched by Swin Cash of Connecticut. Diana Taurasi, the freshman from Chino, California, bombs away outside. The Huskies lead by 11. UConn by 11. We asked Connecticut coach Gino Auriemma to talk about his talented freshman, Diana Taurasi.
I don't think there's anybody that I've ever had offensively that does the things that she does. Her range is wherever it needs to be. You know, she has a quick first step that she doesn't look like she has it. And she can finish around the basket as well as anybody we've ever had.
Taurasi is 4 out of 4 from three-point range. Connecticut is a team 5 out of 5, and they lead by 11. Tanisha Lewis in the lane against a triple team. Put it up, got it back. Knocked away, and that's out to the Wolfpack. Taurasi in the second round hit only 2 out of 14 from long range. And I think the surprise for a team at this level, or a Notre Dame, or a Tennessee, as there's only 3 on the shot clock, and Lewis has to try a runner and got it, is that when they don't play well, it's the upset. You expect them to play well every time.
And especially with this Connecticut team, we talked about the minutes, more players getting more minutes because of the 2 injuries, but how do you play well when you're only getting a certain amount of minutes and
That's
you think
right.
you're getting warmed up and then all of a sudden you're going to the bench? It's a team, though, that has adjusted to that style of play. That's what they know that they're going to get when they come and play for Connecticut.
Psychologically, it's difficult for some people not to play as many minutes, and I think physically, some people need more minutes to play their best. Here's a whistle and a foul away from the ball, and they're going to call a holding foul on Moody. That will be her second. She's their leading rebounder and leading scorer. They can ill afford to have Carice Moody getting a foul trouble.
Well, you mentioned with her size, too. I mean, at 6'1", she's not a tall player, but she's a very physical player.
Skates comes out, and Olan Rawaju checks back in.
Shea Ralph was telling me yesterday at practice, she said she's never seen a player like Diana Taurasi make the kind of shots or take the kind of shots and always be squared up when she's shooting the ball.
Taurasi now has 14 points. Bad pass by Simpson. Connecticut hustles back on offense.
I can't believe how quickly Sue Bird is getting the ball up the floor.
Where she sure hustles it up. Check in with Heather Cox. Heather, what do you have?
Mike, in a little while, we'll have a chance to visit with Bill and Kay Cowher. They may be Pittsburgh Steelers now, but at a time they both wore Wolfpack red. Bill is an NC State grad. His wife, Kay, on the left, not only went to NC State, but played for Coach Yao. And Kay has always been known for her intensity. We all know about Bill's intensity, but Kay had some intensity as well, and it all started with Coach Yao and the legendary techniques that she started 25 years ago.
And Kay's twin sister, Faye, they both played at North Carolina State. I played against them my senior year. We went down to Greensboro, Raleigh, and we got beat early in the season. Kay and Faye Yao. Then I ended up playing with them in the WBL, the Women's Pro League, the Dan and Yogurts twins, Kay and Faye Yao.
What was your endorsement deal?
I didn't get.
Oh, you didn't get one.
No.
You needed a twin.
They were the twins. Everybody thought I was their sister, though.
Well, you needed a
like
female
that.
twin is what you needed.
But they were intense players. They were fun to be with.
35-22. The lead 13 with 5:22 to go in the first half. Connecticut with the lead, trying to advance to the regional championship game Monday night. Schumacher with another block against Moody. And then there is a reach-in foul on Kenitra Johnson.
Carice Moody really had nowhere to go. She's going up for the shot, tries to go underneath for maybe a pass, and there is the 6'5" senior Schumacher. She had 6 block shots against St. John's this year. But her career high last year, 9 against Tennessee.
It's a heck of a performance.
And you love to see it on the defensive end.
Bird getting a breather as the point guard. There's the miss, but knocked out of bounds by North Carolina State, as Asia Jones was left alone on the baseline. And now Sue Bird, after that brief rest, will come back in the ball game. And Kenitra Johnson will sit down.
Well, it's not the platoon system, but a little bit like what Dean Smith used to do.
Yeah.
Great hustle by Moody.
Moody knocks it away, and here comes Lewis on the run for the Wolfpack. Lewis, nice touch on the jumper. She averages 13.5 points a game, and a good shot for her makes it 35-24, and Gino Auriemma has seen enough of that. He wants a timeout.
And that was against Schumacher.
30-second timeout.
A lot of places yesterday, I wouldn't want to play that golf course, because if you hit a safe shot, you're 70 feet away.
How about the 2 14-year-olds?
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
Really, if a 14-year-old beats me by 20 shots, he's in trouble.
And they're not giving you any shots.
No, absolutely not. 4:45 to go first half. UConn by 11, but North Carolina State continues to make it interesting.
Well, I think the timeout for Gino Auriemma coming out was basically to slow his team down, not so much on the defensive end, on the offensive end as far as taking care of the basketball.
We've talked about the expectations of the media and fans. The expectations of coaches go up as well as your program succeeds more and more.
Well, you look at the tradition in this short 16 years that really a lot of people in the women's game compared to Kay Yao, 26 years, and she has over 600 wins, only the 5th coach to do it in college history, with the total career coaching at Elon College and North Carolina State.
They may be working on a clock problem right now. We'll find out. Here's the game summary if you joined us late. UConn hitting 13 of 23 shots. The turnover battle is now even, but the Huskies continue to win the battle on the boards. But the outside shooting has been spectacular for UConn on the 3-pointers.
And Taurasi 4 of 4 from 3-point range, and Schumacher hitting the other one.
There's Taurasi, who was the National High School Player of the Year.
Grew up in Southern California, wanted to go to UCLA, and felt that the recruiting situation wasn't to her benefit, and boy, she shined for Connecticut.
Bird didn't find anybody she wanted to pass it to, so she sort of shook her head like people weren't moving where they were supposed to on that particular play. So she goes ahead and makes a 17-footer. Gardner got it inside to Olin Rawaju, and she draws a foul.
Thank you. Thank you.
Addie Olunwaju grew up in Brooklyn, New York.
Personal foul.
And her parents from Haiti descent.
That was the second foul on Asia Jones. So Olin Rawaju, who's a 75% free throw shooter, will go to the line and miss the first.
Back on the floor for Connecticut, Swin Cash.
North Carolina State at most goes about 8 players deep. Of course, there probably isn't anyone in the country that can match the quality depth that UConn has. And very few will go as many as 11 players the way they do. Turnover, North Carolina State with the ball. Not a good pass by Tamika Williams. It was more a handoff than it was a pass.
It was very difficult because everything was jammed right in there at the high post.
Moody, good head fake to get Schumacher away from her. Schumacher stays with her. Moody again. Excellent defense by Schumacher. Moody again. You got to hand it to Schumacher. She just hung in there.
I think you got to give her a block on one of those.
Got the roll on the layup from Swin Cash. You turn your head, they're gone. Defensively, you have to be very aware.
And Connecticut's not putting a lot of pressure in the full court against North Carolina State.
Olonwaju, she traveled. The lead is 15 with 3:16 to go first half. The nation's #1 team and the NCAA's defending champions.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of the NCAA Women's Basketball Championship is brought to you by Mercedes-Benz, located on the web at mbusa.com.
That will be the new home of the Pittsburgh Steelers as they replace Three Rivers and their head coach Bill Cowher. They ought to have a profile of his chin hanging on the outside of that stadium. When he sets that jaw on the sideline, there is not a more intense look anywhere in athletics. Great player at NC State as a linebacker and a special teamer. Taurasi buries another three. She has 19 points. She's hit 5 3-pointers. 42-24. They do so well coming out of timeouts. And to me, that's always been a sign of coaching.
And also execution by your players.
Exactly. That time, Taurasi got the steal and threw it away right into the hands of Tanisha Jones.
And coaching
Tanisha Lewis.
Gino Auriemma was not pleased with that pass.
Olonwaju blocked by Schumacher. And taken away by Cash. Swin Cash, a pretty good ball handler. She got a nice screen, missed the shot. Tamika Williams did a great job of screening off the lane so she could get her shot, but she didn't hit it.
It was good hustle by North Carolina State. Bates calling for the timeout. She got hit in the head or somewhere, and the official calling the timeout because North Carolina State did not have the fast break going, but it's a team that's really not going to run against this Connecticut team.
Approaching the 2-minute mark in the first half, the lead is 18. Bates and Skates, the starting forwards, have been rather quiet in this ballgame so far. It's been up to Lewis, Gardner, and inside Moody. Shot clock at 6. Bates dribbles away from pressure, picked up the dribble, now goes to Moody. They don't realize the shot clock was running down in a fundamental mistake by the Wolfpack.
And Monica Bates, no, she's not a scorer. She only averages 3.5 points a game, but you know what, as a senior, you've got to take the responsibility of knowing when to get a shot off if you've got the ball in your hands. You
can't just pass the ball to somebody with 3.5 seconds on the shot clock and say, now it's your problem. Sue Bird drives, pulls up and knocked it down. Bird has 12. She and Taurasi are just ripping up North Carolina State.
It's just the shots, the way they look effortless. And when players make things look effortless, you know that they're a great player.
And all they find is the bottom of the net. Pass too high from Moody, out of bounds. Coming up at halftime on the Monistat Halftime Report, Louisiana Tech, Missouri, a recap of that one. Xavier shocks Tennessee, and an update on Purdue, Texas Tech. We have 55 seconds to go here, and UConn trying to extend its biggest lead from 20. And a foul inside on Olonwaju.
The Huskies continuing to go inside. I think a big difference, too, not only Taurasi and Bird hitting the outside shots, but on the defensive end, Kay Yao told me that our big concern is Kelly Schumacher, and she has been a force inside. North Carolina State's done a good job getting some shots in there, but Schumacher's been right there to put them back away.
Cash at the line. She averages 12.5 points a game, and that is the leading number on this ball club. Swin Cash averages 12.4. A very balanced scoring attack. There doesn't appear to be any me-first egos involved here.
No, and you mentioned how many double-doubles she's had this year. 13 in her career, 7 this season. But she had 20 points, 20 rebounds against Virginia.
20 rebounds.
And then, like you say, how does she get the minutes? And then where did she get the points and the rebounds?
45-24. UConn has really opened it up. Lewis goes baseline, and she will draw a foul. And they'll call this one on Schumacher, her second.
Personal foul number 11, Kelly Schumacher.
What Kelly Schumacher did coming out defensively was good, but she needed to be balanced. And at her size, she really doesn't need to jump on the outside on the perimeter to block the shots because she has such a size advantage.
Lewis hits the free throw. Lewis said she and Coach Yao finally got on the same page this year. And it's really worked for them. A lot of times she admitted she didn't listen. Bird with a runner. Schumacher goes for the offensive rebound, knocked out of bounds. It's out to the Wolfpack with 29.4 seconds to go in the half.
Well, Kay Yao wanted her to penetrate a lot more, and well, you don't know what you're talking about. What helped also that her brother Mandrake told her the same thing. So when it's family, you have a tendency to listen more.
That's right. Here comes the pressure. Now, North Carolina State wanted a hold for the last shot, so Connecticut comes out to try to force the action. I have always loved that particular coaching move. Gardner, baseline jumper, short. Schumacher with a rebound. Can they get off the shot? Conlon, it will be no good. The backcourt for UConn. Bird and Taurasi have combined for 31. They've only missed 3 shots combined in the first half as number 1 UConn sails to a 45-26 lead over NC State. Let's go to Heather Cox.
Gino, your freshman Diana Taurasi was 2 for 13 from the field in the second round against Colorado State. What a difference a week makes.
Yeah, well, the thing about Diana was even though she's 2 for 13, she only worries about the 2 she made. She don't worry about the 11 she missed. And I knew she would snap out of it. She's too good a player.
Best of luck in the second half. You guys look great.
All right, Gino, thanks very much. Our halftime score is 45-26. Let's go back to Robin, Nell, and Vera. That's the story from Pittsburgh.
All right, Mike, thank you very much. 8 teams will be surviving after this round of 16. And Gino Auriemma said it best about Diana Taurasi. The kid, she is so cool, and she has such confidence. And the fact that Connecticut, it's not that they can score, it's how they can score now that hurts you.
It's incredible. They can score so quickly. I mean, they're up by only 3 points. NC State made a great run back at them about after the 10-minute mark in the first half. And all of a sudden, boom, UConn rattles off 8 points. 2 threes by Taurasi, a fast break basket by Swin Cash, and they're up 11.
In 40 seconds they do that.
In 40 seconds.
And they create their own opportunities. A couple of stats for you. In the first two games, total of 41 more attempts than their opponent. Now that hurts because not only are they scoring quickly, but they're taking plenty of opportunities to make sure they beat you. And I think the most painful thing is in transition. It's insult to injury to shoot the 3 and make it in transition. And they're just doing an outstanding job. Taurasi, Bird, excellent.
5 3-pointers for the freshman Diana Taurasi of Connecticut. Okay, the Huskies, the defending national champions, are up at the half. Louisiana Tech moving on to the Elite 8, but there was a major, major upset. Highlights and scores when we come back.
This halftime report is presented by Monistat, the #1 doctor-recommended brand for the treatment of yeast infections.
Earlier action in the Mideast region going on right now. Texas Tech is trailing Purdue 22-15, but keep in mind, the Lady Raiders, big in the second half in this tournament. They've outscored their opponents by 27 and 28 in the second half of the first 2 tournament games. Again, this game is going on right now on ESPN2. Also earlier, Tennessee Xavier. Rita, everyone calls me Papari. It's really Peepari. Gets the ball, and Xavier goes up by 8. In the first half, anything for you, Rita? Kara Lawson to Michelle Snow. Didn't see that happen very often, but Xavier's lead is cut to 1. Lady Vols were down 4 at the half. Second half, less than 5 to go. Amy, whoa, a 3-pointer goes. Xavier back on top by 6, and 3 minutes later, folks, they just kept it going. Saru Tukanen gets the hoop and foul. Xavier won at Tennessee. They got Tennessee. The 80-65 win. This is Tennessee's earliest exit since 1994. Nicole Lewandowski with 19 points. Xavier advances to his first Elite Eight and extends the nation's longest winning streak to 21 games. Now, in the 20-year history of the NCAA tournament, the Lady Vols have lost only 14 games. 10 of those losses have been to number 1 or number 2 seeds. In their losses to teams seeded lower than that, that team has gone on to play for the national championship. Brad Edwards, our researcher, bringing something today.
Yeah.
Well, Xavier, keep that streak alive. It's just to show you that this team could very much be for real.
Absolutely. I tell you what was that stands out in my mind is that Xavier came to play. You can give your team a scouting report. I'm going to talk to you as a coach. You can give them a scouting report. You can go over all their sets. You can do all that, but the thing that you can't do is impart upon your team how hungry the other team is. And Xavier played very hungry today and never let up, and it was very apparent that that's how they had to come to play, and it paid off for them.
You talk to him as a coach. I'm going to talk to you as not a coach, but I'm going to tell you right now as a player, when you have 4 other players on the court with you that you can rely on, I'm telling you, it makes a difference. 5 of their players for Xavier average in double figures, and they brought that same intensity today. Turnovers were big. That hurt Tennessee. 20-10 roughly was that almost double pretty much. And then the other thing was just poor shooting, but it wasn't as much poor shooting as Xavier played excellent defense. They defended every shot because they have great shooters on their own team, so they know how to do it.
A team that expected to win, and they played that
They had
way.
attitude, too. Attitude factor. We're going to win this.
3 Musketeers and all that. All right, still to come here on the Monistat Halftime Report. The Connecticut Huskies, the defending national champions, going up against NC State Sue Bird with 12 first-half points.
Welcome back to the Monistat Halftime Report.
Earlier today, Missouri and Louisiana Tech, second half, Louisiana Tech up 8. Takesha Lewis, she was terrific today. More from Miss Lewis. Look, almost tips it in, but instead puts it back in the old-fashioned way. 27 points and 17 points. That's right. Then look at this sequence from Brooke Lassiter. She nails the J to beat the shot clock. Then off the inbounds pass. Get up. Put your mouthpiece back in, honey. All right. And that's the kind of game it was for Louisiana Tech. They're now an amazing 16-2 all time in regional semifinal games. And you saw those two hugging each other. Well, Takesha Lewis and Brooke Lassiter combined for 52 of Louisiana Tech's 78 games. Wow. And they move on. They'll face the winner between NC State and Connecticut. You were loving seeing how Lewis was playing.
A lot of help on the inside. I mean, she can't do it all. She's only shooting about 2 for 9, but the real telling stat is the rebounding, almost doubled. UConn is killing them on the boards, and of course, the rebounding begets the run. The run begets, oh my God, how did we lose the game this way? So they absolutely have to do something inside to get back in it.
20 minutes left to decide who's going to move on between these two to the Elite Eight. Diana Taurasi has her way. I think she's taking shots from back and scores Connecticut. 5 for 5 from three-point range. Her team is up at the half.
We're at the half in Pittsburgh, the East Regional, for the right to go to the Elite Eight. Connecticut leading North Carolina State 45-26. Welcome back, everybody. We've already had the major upset of the day with Tennessee losing. Connecticut trying to prevent making it 2 in a row. Diana Taurasi certainly doing her part. What a brilliant freshman.
I guess she wants to prove that she was a Big East freshman player. She did in the Big East tournament, but boy, she has not met a shot she doesn't like anywhere on the floor. I talked to her practice yesterday, and I asked about her footwork. She said, I naturally set up, and her feet are all ready to shoot the basketball no matter where she is on the floor. I think the one thing that Gino Ariema might have talked to her about is her 3 turnovers.
Taurasi with 19 points. She only missed 1 shot from the floor. North Carolina State has been held to 31% shooting, and they're being out-rebounded by 9. The turnovers about even. UConn with 14 fast break points to only 2 for North Carolina State. And when UConn is getting the easy baskets, it makes it next to impossible to beat them.
I think a big difference, too, in the first half, obviously the shooting of Bird and Taurasi, but was the defense of Kelly Schumacher inside. She really came up with 3 block shots, they said. I think she had 4. I don't know about those stats, guys. But she changes everybody's shots. They're kicking it back out. They're not getting the easy shot inside because of Schumacher.
In the zone and a whistle away from the ball. Going to be a foul against Swin Cash for holding her second.
Personal foul number 32, Swin Cash.
And this is a North Carolina State team that's shooting over 42% this season from the floor.
Long jumper is good by Tanisha Lewis. She has 10. Second team all ACC for the third year in a row this season. Lewis trying to apply the pressure defensively. Asia Jones. Pull up 17-footer won't go. And here comes Tanisha Lewis again. Around the perimeter, Lewis for three. She's only a 29% long-range shooter on the year, but that one looked good. And they've cut the lead to 14. Sue Bird down the lane, forced that one up. Knocked out of bounds to UConn.
Well, Bird threw a wild shot up, but sometimes as a point guard, you think, okay, I got some rebounders, and they'll go up and get the offensive glass.
Jones on the inbound. Baseline drive, blocked by Lewis, but fouled by Lewis. That'll be two by Tanisha Lewis. Here's what both coaches have on the floor right now. Lewis, the leading scorer for North Carolina State. She has 13 along with Gardner, Bates, Skates, and Moody, the original starting lineup. Gino Auriemma has his original starters in there. Bird and Taurasi have combined for 31 so far.
Asia Jones has really worked on her game and putting the ball on the floor. When she first came in to Connecticut as a freshman, she was more of a post-up player. But she's worked on her game as far as putting the ball on the floor. I mean, she was a forward, too. She played both positions.
And she was a starter 2 years ago, and then last year, basically, she came off the bench. Didn't get the roll on either one. 14-point lead, North Carolina State trying to cut into that. Simpson, who hit those two big threes in the first half, goes with a cross-court pass, and Bates can't hit the shot.
Well, Bates and Skates, who did not have any points in the first half, I'm sure that Kay Yao was suggesting to them that we need scoring from other positions. You've got to be offensive-minded.
Got to get something out of your starters up front. And another foul on Swin Cash. That's her third. And she'll come out of the ball game for Tamika Williams. There's a 30-second timeout by UConn with 18:27 to go in the game. The Huskies up by 14 over North Carolina State. You can tip off your Final Four weekend with the Capital One presenting ESPN the Magazine's College Basketball Awards. 15 awards will be handed out, including Men's and Women's Player of the Year, Men's and Women's Player of the Year at each spot, plus the presentation of the Wade Trophy. That's Wednesday at 7 Eastern from Minneapolis. And we get a lot of opportunities to vote in, for All-American teams and for the ESPN the Magazine College Basketball Awards. And every time I get a ballot, I feel a lot of pressure. I think there's a lot of responsibility. Sometimes you don't get to see players enough, and I really feel guilty if I don't do my research to try to find out who belongs on those teams.
I agree with you, and a lot of times, especially even in the women's game, and it happens in the men's game, that you don't get the information on the players.
That's right.
And certain schools have a higher percentage of being on TV than others do, and those players don't get the publicity.
Field goal shooting so far. NC State hitting 50%. UConn has missed its only two. Simpson with another rainbow and missed this one. Taurasi. Schumacher hustles for the rebound, but a nice play by Lewis. And Schumacher picks up the foul. That's her third. So UConn starting to get in some foul trouble, although it's probably the one team in the nation could stand at the best with its depth.
If you talk about the bench for this UConn team, they've outscored a whole team. The bench themselves 3 times this year. Providence, St. John's, and Long Island.
Bird on the run. 3-on-3. She takes it in herself, forced it up. Asia Jones with a rebound, missed it, got it back again, and she's fouled.
Sue Bird not happy with herself. North Carolina State upset at the call, but Sue Bird knocking the ball away, and then boom, she's off to the races. She misses the layup, but we talked about giving her teammates an opportunity to rebound. The Wolfpack thought that the foul should have gone the other way.
Bird outside, poor entry pass that time.
Doesn't make too many bad decisions.
No, she doesn't. You're almost left slack-jawed when she makes a mistake. Lewis down the lane, nice drive and got the roll. Tanisha Lewis with 15 points.
Well, her game really improved, too, after the Florida State game. North Carolina State went on a slide where they lost 6 in a row, and they moved her to point guard. Nothing's called on that.
Schumacher with the pass. Schumacher was wide open from 5 feet away and somehow didn't even realize it.
I think she was waiting for the whistle.
I think so, too. She fed it to Tamika Williams. She got the easy layup. The lead's back to 14.
North Carolina State coming in with new uniforms and new shoes in this game.
Lewis for 3, and single-handedly, Tanisha Lewis, the senior out of Macclesfield, North Carolina, is keeping her team in this game. 47-36. Bird with a kick out. Offensive foul called on Bird. And Tanisha Lewis at the bottom of the pile again. She is having a sensational effort for the Wolfpack. She's already scored 10 points in the second half to cut this lead down to 11.
Tanisha Lewis was with this team, this North Carolina State team, that beat Connecticut in that regional final that sent them to the Final Four. She was a freshman, so she knows what it means to try and get back.
She's on fire right now. She knows it. She's hit all 4 of her shots and wants the ball. Shot clock at 11. Lewis against a double team. Has to give it up to Moody. And she puts up the nice soft shot. Moody with a half a dozen. And here come the Wolfpack. They're down by 9. Check in with Heather Cox. Heather?
Mike, I talked to Gino yesterday about the keys to beating NC State, and he said we must contain both Moody and Lewis. They combined for 43 points of NC State's 68 points in a second-round win. Now, only twice this season has UConn allowed a scoring duo more than 43 points. Those were both losses against Notre Dame and Tennessee. Gino did say the big question mark is, will those two combine to offset our balance offensively? Back to you, Mike and Annie.
Well, they may be looking at a big combined number again, Heather, as Tamika Williams hits a free throw. And Skates will have to sit down with her 4th personal foul of the ball game.
Well, they may get the points, but it's the percentage, too.
Sure.
And I don't think that they can take enough shots and shoot a high percentage to make it come together.
Williams hits the next. That's a great injured reserve club, and they're cheerleaders for the next 2 weeks.
Back inside Mellon Arena, I'm with two people who may be Pittsburgh Steelers now, but they certainly wear the NC State Wolfpack red. Bill Cowher, of course, an NC State alumni, and his wife, not only alumni, but you also played for Coach K. Yeah, tell us a little bit about what it's like playing for the legendary coach.
Well, first of all, she's a great coach and a super person, and I was very honored to play for her.
Now, Coach Cowher, everybody knows about your intensity on the field, but tell us a little bit. Coach Yao said that your wife, in fact, has her own intensity.
Very intense, and if the kids follow in her footsteps, they'll be fine. But right now, we need to get a little run here to get back in this game. But we're excited about being here and supporting Coach Yao. She's done a great job this year, and hopefully we can pull this thing out.
Rumor has it your 15-year-old daughter is an excellent basketball player. Any hope of having her be a legacy under Coach Yao?
There's no doubt. They're taking after their mom, so those basketball genes are in the family. And yeah, they may end up going south, but we got to see what happens there.
Thanks so much to both of you. We'll let you get back to the cheering. Enjoy the rest of the game. All right, Mike and Annie, back to you.
Thanks, Heather. Bill holding his options open.
Well, again, Kay Yao, she's so respected, not only as a coach, but as an individual, what she's done for young women. And defensively, NC State trying to make things happen. Lewis being held off. They're going to call a foul on Jones. But Kay Yao, you mentioned that this past June was inducted in the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame in Knoxville. She had her dad and about 40 relatives get a bus and drive it all down there. And she was also awarded the John and Nellie Wooden Award, and she said that was one of her highlights. I mean, she was the Olympic coach in '88 where they won the gold, but she spoke last year with Coach Wooden there and Morgan Wooden and also Bill Self, but she said she talked about the pyramid of success. She almost knew it as good as Coach Wooden.
She's had a brilliant career, and it's far from over. And her team down by only 11 with 14:39 to go in the ballgame. Asia Jones gets the ball inside, and she's fouled by Monica Bates.
Well, it shows you the great players, too, that have come out of this program and the tradition that they've had. And not only WNBA players, but Olympians, All-Americans, ACC All-Americans.
Boy, Taurasi just turns around and makes a tough shot look easy.
You know, a lot of people said that Nikki Teasley was the one point guard in the country that reminded them so much of Magic Johnson. Well, Taurasi grew up watching Magic Johnson in California, and that was her idol. And if you look at her size, she probably is the most like Magic in understanding the game and doing so many things that are versatile. She comes every time to play and comes up with a clean block there, and she doesn't get it.
Well, I'll tell you what, bodies are flying around here now.
She also has been so good for this team. Sue Bird, who is, you know, solid and kind of a John Stockton attitude. And here she tosses it in and comes in and posts up with a nice turnaround. But Taurasi has got a flair about her. She's got a humor, fun, and she challenges a lot of players at Connecticut. And she's really been one of the puzzles to this team, which they've got a lot of pieces to this puzzle that have really made a difference.
Asia Jones will come out of the ball game for a breather with 14:15 to go. Second free throw is good by Simpson, and it's a 12-point lead.
Well, that makes up for the ones that they missed. You know,
that's right.
It's like that stop sign.
Well, they say it'll all even out in the end. I never believed that. Sue Bird down the lane with a runner and got it.
She is so good at cutting the corner. She dips that shoulder. She doesn't go wide, and she's a good ball handler with her left hand as well as her right hand.
Bird has 14. The lead is 14. Good feed inside to Moody, and a good head fake by the sophomore from Rocky Mount, North Carolina. Give her 8 points.
Waited for the defense to just fly by her.
Reach in and a steal by Lewis, who is just having a terrific game. Pull-up jumper, Tanisha Lewis can't hit it. Swin Cash with the rebound. Taurasi into the corner. Johnson with a miss. What a rebound by Cash. Just sheer power.
Okay, Yao standing over there, kind of shaking her head. Yep, now rebounding by Connecticut.
7 boards for Swin Cash, who averages 7 a night. Another good feed to Moody. Moody did a good job, maybe got away with a little push-off to gain some space in there, but a very good play. Johnson again left alone for 3, and she hurts him this time.
Well, and that's just it. It's not just Taurasi and Bird on the outside. You talk so much about this bench, and you've got Kenitra Johnson, a sophomore, coming in and knocking one down.
58-43. North Carolina State has to keep it close enough so that they have a shot at the end, and a good power move by Gardner.
And the reason that the Wolfpack is able to get the ball inside, Kelly Schumacher has been on the bench, and the last 3 made baskets by North Carolina State has been with Schumacher out.
Taurasi with a tough shot, rebound to Lewis. Ahead to Gardner, beautiful spin move, but she missed the shot. And the follow is good by Simpson.
But it was pretty. But you got to finish it.
90% in this game doesn't do you any good.
I think maybe a little fatigue factor, too. We talked about that as far as North Carolina State.
Sure. For a lot of contact as Simpson fights through a screen. Gino Auriemma says, "What's up?" to the official standing beside him. Bird can't hit it, and UConn getting nothing off the boards lately. There wasn't anybody within 10 feet of the bucket after that miss. Moody with a miss. Bates Gardner tried to keep it alive and knocked it out of bounds. And right now, North Carolina State is out-hustling UConn. They're going after those loose balls.
Pittsburgh and UConn continues to roll. Now I'm in the UConn cheering section with the Cash family and Cynthia Cash. I had a chance to talk to Swin yesterday, and she said that there's something much more deeper than the mother-daughter bond. That the basketball bond is actually very deep between the two of you as well.
Yes. I had Swin my senior year of high school. I went on to continue to play basketball my senior year. And at that point in time, you know, I felt that it was more important to be a mother to my child than to play basketball. So I knew at that point in time, my senior year was my last year of playing basketball. You know, and talking to Swin about that, you know, and she felt like going out and playing basketball was something that I wanted to go to college and do, and being that I couldn't do it, and her love for basketball, she felt like this is what she wanted to do to give back to me.
Thank you so much, Cynthia. I talked to Swin about not getting distracted, but certainly your presence here has been an inspiration to her. Back to you guys.
All right, thanks, Heather. And Swin, of course, from McKeesport, Pennsylvania. So a lot of people in the local media wanted to do stories on Swin Cash. Here's a foul on Moody, her third.
Well, being in the state of Pennsylvania, and last year's really was a dream season for the University of Connecticut, and having the Final Four in Philadelphia and Gino Auriemma was basically hometown.
His hometown.
It was pretty exciting. And then to come here to Pittsburgh is not too far.
And McKeesport right up the road for Cash. And that's another foul on Moody.
I like the foul,
That's
though.
4.
She made it count. It wasn't good timing in the sense I think the offensive foul really kind of threw her off, and it was an opportunity for her to take some frustration out.
Moody is their leading scorer and leading rebounder. And now they're going to correct it and say that was only 3 on Moody. So that's a big break for North Carolina State. Swin Cash with the miss. Short on the second one. Offensive rebound to Schumacher, who is checked back in. And that really helps them with their interior presence. Bird says run the offense as we approach the 10-minute mark. Lost it out of bounds. Really good defensive pressure by Tanisha Lewis, who has really shown us a lot today.
I really have been impressed with North Carolina State's defense against Connecticut. Beginning of the game, Connecticut knocked down those 3-point shots, and I think NC State was really kind of taken out because they knew that they had to sag down and do a job inside with the post players for Connecticut. But in the second half, I think that they've been pretty steady.
This is Daphne Hutcherson, who is in for the first time.
It's just that they've got to get some baskets.
Gates.
Schumacher just pushing Moody down on the ground.
And who will they call it on? Is it going to be on Schumacher?
Well, tit for tat. I mean, Moody was called for the offensive foul on one end, and then you see Moody kind of going down, Schumacher with the little shove, and the Cowher's saying, yeah, Kay Cowher.
That's 4 on Schumacher, so she'd spent quite a bit of time on the bench. She comes back into the ball game, picks up a silly foul like that, and Moody will go to the line.
Now, see, I can't just say Kay.
Cowher.
I got to say Kay and Faye.
That's right.
They were always together.
The what twins?
The Dan and Yoga twins.
The Dan and Yoga twins. Bird driving against Hutcherson, and a foul on Hutcherson. And Bird will go to the line on the 1-and-1. Gino Auriemma has always said of Sue Bird, she can just simply take over a game. And she has done it on more than one occasion. I think everybody saw the highlights of the game-winning shot she had against Notre Dame. This one's knocked out of bounds, they say, last say off of UConn. And both benches are really getting into this with the officials. On virtually every call, the bench rises as one. And somebody may get hit before this one's over.
A chance for the Wolfpack to cut it to single digits.
Hutcherson trying to penetrate, nearly traveled. Lewis, nice head fake. Got it. Tanisha Lewis has 20.
Good patience. Again, Shoemaker is out of the game. That defensive presence, not only blocking shots, but changing shots. And North Carolina State able to get the dribble penetration.
Hutcherson trying to do a good defensive job on Bird. She goes by her to the baseline. Bird was 16.
Now, the Huskies have not been as devastating on the three-point shot in the second half. So NC State can back off a little bit and say, hey, beat me now from the three-point shot, instead of letting the ball get inside.
Lewis for three. Long rebound to Moody. Bates trying to get on the lane for a rare shot for her. Can't hit it. Kept alive, but Bird picks off the loose ball. And boy, she just wants to push it every time she touches it. They let her go. Then the great pass. Swin Cash with the layup. A brilliant pass by Bird, but an even better decision. At the last moment, somebody came over to front her. She knew it would be a charge if she kept going and made the pass.
As impressive as it was on the offensive end, Mike, it seems sometimes that Sue Bird's arms are like 10 feet long because she grabbed the ball, it bounced right up to her, and then she was off to the races again.
That's all she's thinking about. Lewis really forced that one up.
I couldn't believe she got by the defense.
I couldn't either. She is such a smart player. Asia Jones, baseline, little pull-up. Follow, good. Tamika Williams, she has a half dozen. And every time North Carolina State challenges and gets it into single digits where you think it might be reachable for them, UConn has a spurt to give them a little more breathing room. 7:33 to go in the game. 64-49 UConn.
She went one way and passed to the left, and just to see the defense, she has 6 assists in this game.
To go along with 16 points, just another brilliant overall game. 64-49, North Carolina State back in a situation where they have to pare into that lead again. Skates. Good defense by Swin Cash, but she touched it last to knock it out of bounds. 7:16 to go in the ballgame. 64-49 with 7:16 to go in the ballgame. UConn's backcourt's been spectacular again.
They have stepped it up with the 2 injuries. We talked about Svetlana Abrasamova and Shea Ralph, but they have been all over in this game. Diana Taurasi, the freshman, big game as far as 21 points, 7 of 10, and then Sue Bird, 6 assists. She's got 16 points, only 3 turnovers, but just directing, being the general out there.
Full court pressure results in a turnover.
And Taurasi has kind of brought a moxie to this team, too. Coming out of that, going into that timeout, she was all up into the officials saying, hey, that wasn't the right call. And I thought, wow, from a freshman, a lot of confidence.
Kenitra Johnson is in to run the ball club at the point. She starts down the lane and knocked out of bounds off of Tamika Williams. But last touch, they say, by the Wolfpack. 7 minutes exactly to go in this game. The lead is 15. Down to 11 on the shot clock. Johnson gets the screen to get inside. Shot clock at 5. Back out to Johnson. Her miss. The rebound to Skates. Skates left alone. They know she doesn't want that outside shot. Basket good, and the foul by Carice Moody.
How about Carice Moody? Only a sophomore. Her junior year, she was a North Carolina Player of the Year. But look at the move. She has got that little jump hook down. She has used it so much today, and she had a tough time against when Kelly Shoemaker was in there. But now she's got the ability to rise above the defense and get a good look at the basket.
That foul was 4 on Asia Jones, and Moody with the three-point play the old-fashioned way. And here comes North Carolina State again. They've cut it to 12.
And Moody going into this game, 3 of the last 5 games, she was averaging over 21 points.
Bird quickly back in the ball game to run the point. point guards usually don't get much rest. Now they have Johnson back there with her, also a good ball handler. Goes baseline, blocked from behind. Follow Asia Jones with a loose ball. She has 4 points.
Most point guards don't like to come out.
That's right. You never know who they want to replace you with if you come out. 66-52. Moody wants the ball inside. Lewis loves it outside. Moody, nice step through.
Well, you mentioned how North Carolina State not a real good outside shooting team. Lewis has knocked a couple down, but it's been the inside play of Moody and trying to get some offensive rebounds when they can.
Moody has 15. Lewis has 20. That's been the offense for North Carolina State. Bird with a runner, won't go. And out of bounds. It'll be North Carolina State ball. Great hustle by Cash to try to save it. Our exclusive coverage of the NCAA Women's Tournament will continue tonight from the West at 10 o'clock Eastern on ESPN. Southwest Missouri State. You'll have a chance to see the great score of Jackie Stiles against Duke. And at 12:30 a.m. on ESPN, Washington and Oklahoma. A lot of people and really like Oklahoma's chances in that region.
Well, Stacey Dale's having a great year. Coach of the year over there, Oklahoma. Again, the Big 12 being a tough conference. And Washington, a lot of people don't know about Washington and June Doherty's team. Is that a lot of these teams don't get the recognition as we comment about, and so therefore some of the higher seeds don't get an opportunity to see them play and don't know what they have.
Simpson fired up an air ball. She hit a couple of big threes in the first half, but hasn't been able to come through for them in the second half. Under 5 minutes to go. UConn by a dozen.
And you know, Duke has a great freshman in Elena Beard.
Taurasi. That was a tough three.
It was tough, but she still looks smooth on it.
Didn't she?
She was shooting shots yesterday at practice with her eyes closed.
Some people just look like they shoot with their eyes closed. Moody, and she is undercut. Moody went down hard. Taurasi commits the foul. That's 4 on her. A lot of fouls on Connecticut. Looked like Taurasi just ran in under her after she went in the air to take the shot.
Carice Moody with a nice pump fake, and Taurasi comes out to help, and as she turns to block out, Moody has not come down. It's obviously a foul, but you know, sometimes you try and get away with those things. Taurasi growing up playing against the guys on the playground of California, also played AAU basketball for Steve Kavalowski, who, gosh, I've known for a long time.
Moody goes to the line, a pair of free throws, gets it to 10. She's working on a double-double, now has 18 points, 8 rebounds. Check in with Heather Cox. Heather?
Well, guys, Carice Moody had off-season knee surgery on not one, but both knees during the summer of 2000. She did say it's made her more explosive. She plays pain-free, but they're very tender. I've had 3 knee surgeries myself, and I know that they're tender when you have that much contact down low. Back to you.
Well, she's showing a lot of courage today. If she is in pain, it doesn't show in her game. The lead is 10, 4:16 to go. Whistle away from the ball.
Connecticut in constant motion, setting picks, and NC State trying to catch up, and they get called for the foul.
Personal foul number 45.
And the hold is called on Skates, and that is her 5th. Talisha Skates, the freshman from Centerville, Tennessee, has fouled out of the ballgame. And this amounts to a free timeout, as coaches have milked this rule about as far as they possibly can. Why don't they change this thing? They want to give them 4 or 5 more timeouts a game, do that. But this, you know, collective picnic every time somebody fouls out of the ballgame.
You should already have that decision made.
You would think. These coaches aren't going to miss much.
You know, if you're coaching, though, you're going to milk it, too.
Oh, absolutely. You're going to take every second you can. Take a look at the tournament storyline. Tennessee eliminated from the tournament. The other top seeds are still playing. They were knocked out by Xavier today in the Sweet 16. La Tech reaches the regional final for the 16th time. There's the Xavier story. They advance to the first ever regional final, and 3 Big 12 teams still in it. They are 9-4. Missouri was eliminated here earlier. NC State down by 10 with the ball. Still plenty of time to go. 4:09. Their scorers have been Lewis on the outside, Moody on the inside. Now they get it outside to Simpson. She's missed 3 3-pointers in the second half after hitting 2 in the first. Bird milking a little time off the clock. Shot clock down to 14. Remember, it's 30 in women's basketball and not 35 as it is in the men's game. Johnson baseline double clutch. Tough pass, and it's off of Bates out of bounds with 4 on the shot clock. And now we've got a timeout on the court. Only 3:30 to go. UConn leads by 10.
Checking on a game on ESPN2. Purdue taking on Texas Tech. Shanika Parks takes it to length. And the Boilers with the lead in the second half by 6. Back to Mike and Annie in Pittsburgh.
Thank you, Robin. Purdue trying to survive the upset bug. And UConn right now has 3 minutes and 30 seconds to go with a 10-point lead on North Carolina State. Today's attendance, the second largest crowd in East Regional history at over 9,000. Bird doesn't get the roll. Asia Jones, they're going to wave off the basket but call a foul before the shot.
What a tough rebound by Asia Jones, and Gino Ariema is saying, hey, how can you not call that a finish and a follow through? I think he can be a little bit more relaxed with the kind of lead he's got. 10-point lead, it's never safe. Asia Jones certainly wanted that shot to count.
Asia Jones 5 points, but 10 or making 11 rebounds for the day. She made the Final Four all-tournament team a year ago. She just had a great performance in the Final Four, averaging 14 points a game. The lead is extended to 12, and now NC State needs points, and they need them in a hurry. Remember, they are not a good outside shooting team. Moody takes care of it inside, cuts it to 10 again. Moody now has 19. She and Lewis have combined for 39 in this game.
Well, it's been the 1-2 punch most of the season.
Taurasi, deadly from outside. If given any time, she and Bird can just tear it up from out there. Taurasi shooting nearly 40% this season. Bird shooting 44%. So you just have to respect that outside game.
I think what will be interesting as her career progresses is so many people look at her as a three-point shooter. Well, she's not. She can take it to the hole. She can play with her back of the basket. She can pass the ball. But in the position that she's been playing with Connecticut, that's kind of where she's been put out to.
And been very successful at it. Cash gives it up to Bird. 7 on the shot clock. Here's where a point guard is invaluable with the shot clock winding down, trying to make something happen. She had it blocked. That will not be a shot clock violation. The whistle blew first. And I think they called a 3-second violation on UConn, or some other kind of violation that turns it over. 2:05 and counting. Lewis looking for the screen. She'll try the 3. Too strong. Bird tips it to Asia Jones. Smart play. And now the only thing NC State can do is go out and try to foul. They're down by 13.
As soon as Sue Bird crossed half court, Gino Ariema called out spread. Take some time off.
Shot clock is down to 5. Taurasi. Maybe a little outside even her range. Gardner. Nice drive. Taurazi's there to block it and take it away. Well, she did that very matter-of-factly, didn't she? Here, let me block your shot. Take the ball now. I'll bring it up.
And doesn't even fast break. They've got the lead. They know they're going to take time off the clock. But for a freshman to be that aware, to keep her emotions in check, sometimes what an exciting play to come across and just with a great break or a great block. And then she just stands there. And look at the Connecticut bench. The seniors are loving it.
They may not get to play anymore, but they'll have a chance to get a ring.
Well, they appreciate her ability, there's no question. As you said, she was the National High School Player of the Year. So they have some good hoops out in the West Coast.
Yes, they do. Free throw is good by Asia Jones. She has 7 points. Taurazi with 24 points in that one. That matches a career high. And Sue Bird will sit down at the 109 mark.
And probably the frustration was when she went in for that last drive to the left and didn't get called as far as a foul.
The Turfway Spiral Stakes will be coming up when we're done. We invite you to stay tuned for that.
But what a great game by Sue Bird. She just hit the outside shots along with Taurasi in that first half, but just directed the offense. Defensively, she just hawked the ball.
It's a very, very impressive Connecticut team. They're going to go to 31-2. And North Carolina State season is going to end at 22-11.
And sometimes when you see a team like Connecticut play this good a game, you wonder how they did lose. But you know that Tennessee and Notre Dame have wonderful talent on their teams too.
And there was a period in this game when Connecticut did not play its best. They got a little sloppy. Offensive rebound. They bring it back outside to Taurazi, and she'll run the ball club along with Kenitra Johnson for the remainder of the game. Under a minute to go. Kay Yao and Gino Auriemma matching wits today. Two of the most legendary coaches in the history of women's basketball.
Well, Gino Auriemma was not pleased with the bounce pass that Taurazi made. You don't make too many mistakes. She stays in the game. Swim Cash comes out. And Morgan Valley, a freshman, comes into the game.
And Morgan Valley is on my all-name team for sure. 35 seconds to go. Lewis, who has been brilliant today, along with Moody. And Taurazi just went down. Looked like she may have sprained an ankle.
Well, Lewis did a little hesitation coming around the corner looking for a pick, and I think Taurazi might have thought that there was going to be a pick. And sometimes when you're not sliding your feet, she gets kind of caught right there. You see how she stops, and the momentum, she just went ahead and went with the momentum to take her down. So hopefully it's nothing that'll bother her.
At least she wasn't limping when she came off the court. And Marcy Conlon is in for Connecticut to play the last few seconds. And this will do it. UConn wins its 31st of the season in another impressive performance. They advance to the Elite Eight in the NCAA. Coming up Monday night at 7 o'clock, Louisiana Tech and Connecticut, old rivals, will meet for the championship in the East. Once again, our final score, UConn 72, NC State 58. For Ann Myers and Heather Cox and our entire ESPN crew, this is Mike Patrick. Thanks for watching. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of the NCAA Women's Basketball Championship is brought to you by Buick and your local Buick dealers.